The unknown signal. The stars above the Zorath Empire's border space burned with their usual quiet light, but tonight was different. Something had disturbed the silence of the void. On the observation deck of the battleship Erioth, Commander Valrek leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowing. His crew had been whispering nervously for hours. A signal, strange, unknown, and impossible, was coming from the far side of the Veil Nebula. "Report!" Valrek demanded, his voice sharp like the crack of glass. "Commander," hissed the sensor officer, his claws tapping the glowing console. "We are detecting a vessel. It does not match any record in our archives. No empire, no trade guild, no outlaw signature. Completely unknown." Valrek's spines bristled. In the galaxy, every ship design was catalogued. Every species from the ancient Clear Dominion to the savage Krath marauders left patterns behind. But this was new. "Scale?" Valrek asked. The officer hesitated. "Larger than anything we have ever seen, at least 5 times the mass of a dreadnought." A silence fell across the deck. Even the humming of the ship's engines seemed to fade. The crew exchanged fearful looks. Who could build such a ship? And why here, in the quiet border space where only smugglers and refugees wandered? Another officer, younger, his scales still bright green, spoke nervously. "Commander, there are whispers among the crew. They say it might be human." The word spread through the bridge like poison in water. Human. Valrek's jaw tightened. "Foolishness. The humans are primitives. Yes, they have colonies. But they are barely out of their cradle. Their fleets are weak, their worlds poorly defended. A human ship could not be this monstrous." And yet, the thought lingered in his mind. He remembered the stories, the humans fighting off the pirate clans at Delta Vega, holding ground when other species would have fled. Fragile they seemed, but there was something dangerous in them, something that made the galaxy uneasy. "Open. Long-range visuals," Valrek ordered. The main screen flickered, and for the first time, they saw it. A shadow against the nebula's red glow. Massive, angular, with sharp edges like the blade of a forgotten god. The hull was dark, absorbing. The starlight itself, only broken by faint glowing lines that pulsed like veins of fire. The bridge crew gasped. "That's not possible," whispered the science officer. "No known technology bends light like that. And those heat signatures. It's as if the ship has no reactor limits. Endless power." Valrek felt his chest tighten. It looked wrong, unnatural. Ships were meant to float, to carry crew, to serve as tools of war or peace. But this looked alive. It looked like a predator waiting to strike. "Is it moving?" Valrek asked. The officer's hand shook as he checked the readings. "Negative. It's just watching us." The bridge filled with unease. An entire fleet of Zorath warships sat at the border, and yet it felt like they were insects before a beast. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. The sensors screamed warnings. "It's scanning us!" Energy waves rippled across their ships, pulling at their shields, breaking through encryption codes as if they were made of paper. Private conversations, military codes, fleet coordinates, all stripped bare in seconds. "They know everything," the officer whispered. Valrek slammed his claw against the console. "Send a message to the High Council. Tell them what we have found." His voice cracked, but he steadied himself. "And tell them to prepare. Because if this truly is a human ship..." Before he could finish, alarms wailed again. The mysterious vessel shifted. Without warning, it moved. One smooth, silent motion. Not a warp jump, not hyperspace. It simply slid across thousands of kilometers in an instant, defying every law of physics known to the galaxy. The crew screamed. "What speed is that?" "Impossible. It cannot be measured." Valrek stared, his scales cold. The ship had just crossed distances that even the most advanced drives couldn't touch. It was like watching reality itself bend. For a moment, The massive vessel turned, its glowing lines shifting, and then, like a phantom, it disappeared into the nebula. Silence. The crew breathed heavily, eyes wide with terror. Valrek finally spoke, his voice low and grim. If that is human technology, then the galaxy stands on the edge of something we cannot control. And in the darkness of the nebula, hidden from their eyes, the ship watched, waiting. The Council's fear. The Council Chamber of the Galactic Union was a place meant to inspire awe, built from shimmering crystal and orbiting above the core world. Of Velthar Prime, it had seen centuries of debate, diplomacy, and conflict resolution. But on this day, fear outweighed reason. Representatives from over 40 species filled the tiered seats. Some hissed, some whispered, some clacked mandibles nervously. The chamber vibrated with tension. At the center, projected in stark holographic detail, was the image transmitted by Commander Valrek of the Zorath Empire, the shadowy, massive warship that had appeared near the Veil Nebula. The murmurs grew into a storm. "This is a fabrication," screeched Councillor Threx of the insectoid Clear Dominion. His wings buzzed angrily. The Zorath have always exaggerated threats to justify their wars. But then the holo shifted, displaying raw data. Energy readings, scale analysis, the sudden movement across impossible distances. Even the encrypted Zorath military codes the vessel had stolen. Every bit of it undeniable. The hall grew silent. Finally, High Speaker Orlin, a tall avian whose feathers shimmered blue, spoke with a trembling voice. Commander Valrek's fleet reported that some of their best encryption, code systems that have stood unbroken for centuries, were stripped in moments. No weapon we know can perform such a task. This vessel is not only real, but beyond our combined understanding. The silence deepened, broken only by the heavy breathing of the larger species. Councillor Sharin of the Valek Confederacy, a being of translucent skin and glowing veins, leaned forward. "There is one possibility, one species that has recently shown troubling ambition." His voice cracked, not from weakness but from disbelief. "Humans." The word hung in the air like a curse. The Clier clicked their mandibles nervously. The reptilian Zorath hissed in agreement. Even the usually cold machine delegates from the Synth Collective pulsed red with warning signals. "No," Orlin said, firmly, though his feathers bristled. "The humans cannot have achieved this. Barely 2 centuries ago they were still crawling on their homeworld. Yes, they have colonized worlds and fought pirates. But this is godlike." "Perhaps," Councillor Sharon replied softly, "we underestimated them." The chamber erupted into chaos again. "We have watched them closely. They are too young. They are reckless, violent, emotional." But as the voices clashed, a smaller figure stood from the back row, an elder scholar representing the archivists of Rill. His voice was thin, but carried weight, for the archivists were keepers of history and truth. "You all forget," he said slowly, "that humans are not like us. They are not patient like the Clier, nor cautious like the Valek, nor logical like the Synth. They burn, they leap. They grow in decades what others need centuries to achieve. And when cornered, they fight like no other species." A hush fell. Again. His words felt heavy, undeniable. High Speaker Orlin's feathers shook. "If that truly is a human warship, then it means they have hidden their progress from us. They may already have a fleet of such vessels." A synth unit spoke with mechanical calm. "Then the balance of power is broken. If humans wield such force, no empire can resist them. The galaxy itself may tremble under their hand." "The Clier," Councillor hissed. "Then we must destroy them, now, before they rise further." But Councillor Sharon raised a hand. "Destroy them. You saw the data. One ship erased an entire fleet's encryption, moved faster than physics should allow. Do. You think our combined armadas could face such power? The council chamber fell quiet again. Even the most warlike species hesitated at the thought. The archivist leaned on his staff. Perhaps, he whispered, the humans are no longer simply human. A shiver passed through the room. At that moment, a messenger drone darted into the chamber, its lights flashing red with urgency. The high speaker paused, then allowed the transmission. The chamber's hollow shifted once more, showing a new feed, the wreckage of a spycraft. Torn apart, floating near the Veil Nebula, pieces of hull scattered like broken teeth. A voice played over the channel, distorted yet clear. You should not have looked for us. The counselors froze. The voice was not alien, not mechanical. It was human. Gasps filled the chamber. The synth unit's lights turned crimson. We will reveal ourselves soon. The galaxy has judged humanity as weak for too long. That era is over. The transmission ended. For several moments, no one moved, no one spoke. The council chamber, so often filled with arrogance, shouting, and politics, was drowned in silence. Then High Speaker Orlin whispered the words everyone feared. If this is true, then humanity is no longer prey. They are predators, and the galaxy is the hunted. First contact of fire. The fleets of the Zorath Empire were vast. A wall of steel and fire stretched across the dark. Hundreds of warships, their hulls glowing with plasma shields, orbited the edge of the Veil Nebula. Commander Valrek stood at the heart of it, his scales glistening under the glow of tactical displays. His orders from the High Council had been clear: confront the vessel, test its strength, learn what it is. Yet as the shadowed warship appeared again, sliding out of the nebula without sound or warning, Valrek felt the weight of doom settle over his chest. There it is, whispered his science officer, voice trembling. The unknown. On the main screen, the vessel loomed, larger, darker, and more terrifying than before. Its hull carried no symbols, no signs of allegiance. The glowing veins of energy across its surface pulsed slowly, like the steady heartbeat of a beast. Valrek swallowed hard. Open a channel. The comms officer obeyed. Unidentified vessel, this is Commander Valrek of the Zorath Empire. You are trespassing in controlled space. Identify yourself. Silence. Valrek repeated the demand. Still, nothing. Perhaps they do not understand, muttered the officer. No, Valrek growled. They understand. They simply do not care. The fleet tensed. Warships shifted formation, surrounding the intruder. Weapons powered up. The void filled with heat signatures of engines and plasma cannons charging. Commander, the tactical officer said, fear in his voice. We outnumber it 500 to 1, but I don't like this. Valrek's spines bristled. He didn't like it either. But orders were orders. Fire a warning shot. Let them know we are not prey. The eye. Nearest cruiser launched a barrage of plasma bolts. The glowing orbs streaked through space, exploding near the mysterious vessel's hull. The blasts should have rattled shields, forced a response. But the vessel did not move. The plasma dissipated harmlessly, as if striking smoke. The bridge fell, silent. No effect, the officer whispered. Valrek hesitated, then clenched his jaw. Then fire for real. The fleet obeyed. Hundreds of plasma cannons roared. Torpedoes streaked through the dark. Missiles detonated in a storm of fire. The void became a sea of explosions so bright that nearby stars were drowned out. For a moment, it looked as if nothing could survive. The alien crews cheered, confident the shadow was erased. Then the light cleared, and the vessel remained, untouched. Its dark hull absorbed the storm as if it had never happened. Gasps filled the bridge. Officers trembled. One even fell to his knees. Valrek could not breathe. No shields in the galaxy could withstand that barrage. No armor could stand against such force. Yet here it was, unbroken. Then, for the first time, the vessel moved. Lines of fire lit up along its hull. Weapons, but nothing the aliens recognized. No plasma, no torpedoes, no railguns. Just blinding energy that shimmered with unnatural light. The ship unleashed its wrath. One beam of light, thin, precise, slashed through a battleship. The vessel split in half, its engines exploding in silence. Another beam carved through 3 cruisers at once, as if cutting paper. Screams echoed across comms. Panic spread like wildfire. "Impossible!" shouted the science officer. "No weapon can cut matter like that." Valrek gritted his teeth. "It's not a weapon we know. It's something beyond us." The mysterious ship fired again. Dozens of alien warships exploded, their pieces scattering like burning ash. Every shot was perfect. Every strike deliberate. It wasn't random destruction. It was surgical, precise, almost merciful. "Commander," a voice cried over the fleet-wide channel. "Our codes, our systems, they're being hacked again. The vessel is inside our ships." Valrek's blood froze. He slammed his fist against the console. "All fleets, retreat! Retreat now!" But it was too late. One by one, alien ships fell silent, their lights fading, their engines dead. The human ship, if it was human, was shutting them down without effort. On the main screen, Valrek saw his proud fleet die. Not with explosions, but with silence. A silence that screamed louder than any battle. Then suddenly, the vessel stopped firing. Its weapons dimmed. The glowing veins across its hull pulsed faster, brighter. And then, without warning, a channel opened. A face appeared on the screen. Not reptilian. Not insectoid. Not machine. Human. A man, strong-jawed, eyes cold yet burning with purpose. His voice was steady, calm, terrifying in its certainty. "Zorath Fleet, this was your warning." Valrek's scales chilled. "Who are you?" he whispered. The human leaned forward slightly. "I am Admiral Cole of Earth. Remember this name, for soon all of you will." The transmission cut, and the massive ship disappeared once more into the nebula, leaving only wreckage and silence in its wake. Valrek collapsed into his chair, his heart pounding. Humanity had spoken, and their voice carried the weight of gods. The Sach, human commander. Admiral Cole stood on the bridge of the Resolute, the human warship that had shaken an empire. His crew moved with calm precision, their hands brushing holographic controls, their faces reflecting both fear and pride. Outside, the Veil Nebula glowed crimson, hiding them once more from prying alien eyes. The alien fleet had been shattered, but Cole knew this was only the beginning. "Status," he said. His voice carried strength, though deep inside, exhaustion weighed on him. "Damage, minimal," reported Commander Harlow, his second-in-command. "Shields never dropped below 80%. Ammunition levels still at full capacity." Cole gave a slow nod. Good. The message was sent. But as he turned, he saw the faces of his crew, young men and women who had grown up under the shadow of alien arrogance. Many of them had lost families to slavers, pirates, or the so-called noble empires that treated humanity as backward settlers. They stared at him not just as their commander, but as the voice of Earth's vengeance. Cole clenched his fists behind his back. This is not just war. This is justice. Far away, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, Admiral Cole's words echoed like thunder. Remember this name. Earth. Councilors trembled. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others whispered of diplomacy, desperate to contain the storm before it spread. But fear was already rooted. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive colonists, now stood revealed as something terrifying, a species capable of outpacing the galaxy itself. Back on the Resolute, a soft chime interrupted Cole's thoughts. A hollow screen flickered to life, an encrypted message from Earth. The face of President Elena Vasquez appeared, her dark eyes steady, her voice sharp with resolve. Admiral Cole. The Council knows of us now. Your orders remain the same. Protect our borders, but do not retreat. We cannot show weakness. Cole straightened. Madam President, they will come with everything they have. Entire fleets, united against us. Her gaze did not waver. And we will show them what it means to fight humanity. They believed us. Weak for too long. Let them learn their mistake. The screen dimmed. Cole stood still for a long moment, his mind burning. He thought of Earth. Not the shining cities, but the scars of old wars. Humanity had bled on its own soil for centuries, learning lessons of survival the galaxy could never understand. While the alien empires rested in comfort, humanity had clawed its way forward through chaos, famine, and fire. That was why humans adapted. That was why they endured. Admiral, Commander Harlow said softly, pulling Cole from his thoughts. Do you think they'll ever see us as equals? Cole looked at him. For a brief second, his cold mask broke, and the weight of his heart showed. No, Cole said. They'll never see us as equals. They'll only see us as a threat, and threats must be faced, or destroyed. The words lingered. On Velthar Prime, the council chamber was once again in chaos. Councillor Threx of the Clear Dominion slammed his mandibles together. This cannot stand. If humans possess more ships like this, they could challenge the entire Union. High Speaker Orlin raised his wings. We do not yet know the scale of their fleet. It may be only one vessel, perhaps even experimental. Experimental? Hissed Sharon of the Valek. You saw how easily it erased Valrek's fleet. No experiment could hold such perfection. This was mastery. The Archivist of Rill leaned forward, his old voice grave. Do you not see? This is no sudden leap. Humanity has been hiding in plain sight, advancing faster than we imagined, preparing for the day when the galaxy would finally push them too far. The council fell into silence again. Sharon spoke softly, almost to himself. We thought they were prey. Perhaps they always knew they were wolves. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, alarms sounded. Cole snapped his head toward the tactical display. Report! Multiple signatures, cried the officer. An entire fleet, jumping into the system. Cole's eyes narrowed as the dark void erupted with light. Hundreds of ships, larger than before, belonging not just to the Zorath, but to a coalition of species, united by fear. The Resolute was alone. Cole straightened, his voice calm but edged with steel. So they've come. Commander Harlow swallowed. Admiral, they outnumber us by thousands. The crew looked at Cole, their hearts pounding, their breaths short. They had already seen what one ship could do, but this was different. This was annihilation. Cole's jaw tightened. He stepped forward, his voice rising like thunder. Then we'll show them what humanity truly is. Not just a ship, not just weapons, but will. Unbreakable will. The bridge fell into silence, every crew member's fear replaced with burning resolve. The Resolute powered up, its veins of light glowing brighter, pulsing like the heartbeat of a giant. Cole raised his hand. Ready all weapons, we fight. And as the enemy fleet closed in, the void itself seemed to shiver with anticipation. The eye. War erupts. The black of space lit up like a storm as the united alien fleet descended upon the Resolute. Hundreds of ships, each bristling with weapons, filled the void with power signatures so bright they overwhelmed the sensors. The sky itself seemed to tremble. Admiral Cole stood tall at the center of his bridge. Around him, his crew readied themselves. In silence, each one knowing this could be their final stand. They formed a wall, Commander Harlow reported, his voice grim. No path to retreat, no path to escape. They mean to erase us here. Cole's eyes narrowed. Good. Let them try. The Resolute's veins pulsed with light, its weapons humming like a predator about to strike. Cole raised his hand. Target their command ships, break their spine. And with a single order, hell was unleashed. The first volley from the Resolute tore through the alien lines like a blade through silk. Beams of light, sharp and precise, split cruisers apart. Battleships crumbled as their cores ignited in fiery death. In seconds, the perfect wall the enemy had formed shattered into chaos. But the galaxy had prepared for this. "Multiple lock-ons," the tactical officer shouted. "They're firing everything!" The void filled with plasma storms, torpedo swarms and beams of crackling energy. The Resolute shuddered under the impact. Shields flared, bending under the weight of thousands of weapons. For the first time, the bridge shook violently. Sparks rained down. "Shields holding," cried Harlow. "But they can't take this forever." Cole's jaw tightened. "We don't need forever. We just need long enough to teach them." On the alien side, commanders screamed orders in panic. "How is it still alive? Concentrate fire! Do not break formation!" But their unity was already crumbling. Every time the Resolute fired, ships vanished. Every shot struck with surgical precision, removing leaders, severing chains of command, spreading fear, and fear was humanity's ally. The battle raged for hours, neither side relenting. The void became a graveyard of twisted hulls and burning wreckage. The Resolute bled energy, its shields dimming, its crew bruised and weary, but still, they fought on. At last, the enemy pulled back, regrouping, leaving only silence and drifting debris. Cole exhaled slowly, though his heart hammered. He knew this was just the beginning. "Status?" he asked. "Severe shield strain," Harlow reported. "Hull breaches sealed. We've lost 17 crew." The bridge went quiet. 17 lives, names, faces, people who had trusted him. Cole's throat tightened, but he did not allow his mask to break. He turned, looking at his surviving crew. Their eyes were bloodshot, their hands trembling, but their spirits burned with something stronger than fear. Defiance. "We held," Cole said firmly. "One ship against an empire. Remember this moment. Humanity does not bow." But war was spreading faster than he had hoped. Across the stars, alien empires rallied fleets. From the icy systems of the Clear Dominion to the molten worlds of the Zorath, ships poured into space, uniting against the human threat. Yet even as they prepared their counterattacks, humanity struck back. Hidden colonies revealed warships that had been kept secret for decades. Human fleets emerged from asteroid bases and hidden shipyards, not vast in number, but armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. In the Sigma corridor, 3 human destroyers held off 30 alien cruisers for 2 days before self-destructing, taking the enemy with them. At Vega Prime, a single human carrier launched drones faster than light itself, overwhelming fleets that had stood for centuries. The galaxy was learning a bitter truth. Humanity did not fight with numbers. They fought with will, with cunning, with sacrifice. On Velthar Prime, the Council watched in horror as report after report came in. Lost another fleet at Vega. Clier shipyards destroyed at Andros Belt. Zorath outpost burned to ash. The mighty empires of the galaxy, who once laughed at humanity, now whispered in fear. "This is not possible," muttered Councillor Threx. "They cannot be everywhere at once." But the archivist of Rill only shook his head. "It is not their ships that terrify you. It is their spirit. Humanity has learned to fight wars you cannot imagine. To them, loss is not defeat. It is fuel. Every battle they endure, they grow stronger." The council chamber fell into silence. Back aboard the Resolute, Admiral Cole studied the holomap of the galaxy. Red markers, alien fleets, outnumbered the blue markers of Earth's forces by hundreds to 1. But still, humanity. Held Cole's voice was quiet but firm. "They think this is war. They don't understand. For humanity, war is survival. and survival is what we do best. Commander Harlow turned toward him. And if they send everything, Admiral? If the galaxy itself comes to crush us? Cole's eyes gleamed with a cold fire. Then we'll show them that one species, united, is worth more than all their empires combined. The Resolute pulsed again, its hull glowing brighter, as if feeding on the determination of its crew. The ship was wounded, but not broken, just like humanity itself. But in the shadows of the council chamber, not all agreed with unity. Not all sought to destroy. Some whispered of alliances, of negotiations, and others, darker still, began plotting desperate measures. For if humanity could not be defeated in battle, then perhaps they could be destroyed another way. The turning tide. The galaxy was burning, from the frozen asteroid belts of the outer rim to the golden heartworlds of the great empires. Battle after battle raged. The united fleets of the alien species had thrown everything at humanity: numbers, technology, strategies that had broken countless enemies before. And yet, humanity endured. The Resolute was no longer alone. Other ships had joined the fight, secret vessels pulled from hidden shipyards and deep space colonies. Humanity's fleet was still small compared to the endless armadas of the Union, but wherever they fought, they carved legends into the stars. First, alien commanders thought it was luck, but soon the truth became undeniable. Humanity was learning. Every failed ambush became a lesson. Every lost battle reshaped their tactics. Every death sharpened their resolve. Within months, human fleets were adapting faster than entire civilizations could comprehend. Weapons evolved mid-war. Defenses adjusted within days. New strategies appeared on the battlefield, as if born overnight. The galaxy had seen strong species before. It had seen empires rise and fall. But never had it seen anything like this. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Cole studied the tactical maps. Red marks still outnumbered blue 100-1, but something new was happening. The red clusters were shrinking. Reports from the Sigma front, Commander Harlow said, voice tight with disbelief. 2 of our frigates destroyed 6 enemy cruisers. Survivors say they developed a new countermeasure during the battle. Cole's lips curved into the faintest smile. That's humanity. Give us a wall, and we'll find a crack. Give us a storm, and we'll learn to ride the lightning. The crew exchanged looks. They had lost so much, yet something fierce burned inside them now. A belief that they were not prey anymore. They were the hunters. In the council chamber on Velthar Prime, the mood was far darker. Councillor Threx of the Clear Dominion slammed his mandibles against the stone table. This is madness. Every time we strike, they return stronger. It is unnatural. Councillor Sharon of the Veilek leaned forward, his translucent skin glowing faintly. No. It is not unnatural. It is human. The words chilled the chamber. They are not bound by the cycles we are, Sharon continued. We evolve in centuries, in millennia. But they change in years, in days, in hours. The archivist of Rill raised his staff. And you know why? Because their history was never gentle. Their world taught them to adapt or die. Every plague, every war, every famine forged them into something the galaxy cannot control. High Speaker Orlin's feathers trembled. Then what hope do we have? If every attempt to crush them only makes them stronger, then are we not feeding the very fire we wish to extinguish? Silence filled the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of the galaxy felt powerless. Back aboard the Resolute, the war was taking its toll. The ship bore scars from 100 battles. Hull plates patched with scavenged alloys. Crew working beyond exhaustion, their eyes hollow, their hands trembling. Cole walked the corridors, speaking softly to each soldier, each engineer. He remembered their names. He remembered their losses. A father who had lost a son to alien slavers. A medic who had watched her colony burn. A pilot who had sworn never to let Earth fall as his homeworld had. Every face, every story became fuel for his resolve. On the bridge, Cole stood before his crew. His voice was calm, steady, carrying through the silence. They think we are fragile. They think we will break. But look around you. Every scar on this ship, every name we carry, is proof that humanity does not break. We bend, we bleed, and then we rise stronger than before. The crew straightened. Their exhaustion did not vanish, but their eyes burned brighter. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. That's not a human ship. They don't fight like us. They don't die like us. Aliens who once mocked humanity now spoke of them in hushed tones. Entire fleets hesitated at the sight of human warships. Some refused to engage altogether. Fear was spreading faster than any weapon, and yet even fear has limits. In a shadowed chamber deep within Velthar Prime, a secret meeting was held. Representatives from the most powerful empires gathered not to argue, but to plot. The humans adapt to every weapon we use, hissed Threx. So we must use something beyond weapons. Another counselor whispered darkly, "We cannot defeat their ships, but perhaps we can break their spirit." Plans were drawn, not of battle, but of destruction. Attacks not on fleets, but on homes, on Earth itself. If humanity could not be beaten in open war, then the heart of humanity would have to burn. Back on the Resolute, Admiral Cole watched the shifting stars beyond the viewport. He felt it, an unease, a storm gathering. Harlow approached, quietly. "Sir, you've heard the reports? They're planning something different." Cole's jaw tightened. "Yes, they know they can't stop us in the field, so they'll strike at what matters most. Earth." The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew the truth. If Earth fell, humanity would lose more than a world. They would lose their soul. Cole clenched his fists, his voice hard as steel. "Then let them come. We will meet them at the gates of our home. And there, the galaxy will finally learn why humanity endures." Outside, the Resolute's glowing veins pulsed faster, brighter, like a heartbeat before the storm. The galaxy trembles. The skies above Earth burned. From the blue oceans to the steel cities, every human eye turned upward as alien fleets descended. Hundreds of warships, their weapons glowing, formed a black wall across the heavens. The empires of the galaxy had united for one purpose, to end humanity before it could rise any further. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Cole stood at the high center, watching the armada gather. Earth's defenses, orbital stations, planetary shields, hidden fleets, came online one by one. The void around Earth bristled with firepower, but still, they were outnumbered 10-1. Cole's voice cut through the tension. "They've come for our home, our families, everything we are. Today, we show them why humanity does not kneel." The crew answered with silence, but not the silence of fear. It was the silence of resolve. The alien armada fired first. Plasma. Storms rained down like falling suns. Missiles streaked toward Earth's shields. Beams of energy tore across the dark. The Resolute led humanity's answer. Its weapons blazed, tearing holes in the enemy lines. Orbital stations unleashed torrents of railgun fire. Hidden fleets emerged from asteroid belts, striking like wolves. From the shadows, the void shook with war. For hours, battle raged across the skies of Earth. Human ships shattered under the storm, but others rose to take their place. Where one vessel fell, 2 more struck back. The alien commanders screamed in frustration. "They're not retreating, they're not breaking." Of course not. This was Earth, humanity's cradle, humanity's heart. On the ground, cities trembled under distant shockwaves. Families huddled in shelters, listening to the thunder of orbital fire. Children clutched their parents, whispering prayers, not to gods, but to the ships above, to the men and women holding the line. In those moments, humanity was united as never before. No borders, no nations, only Earth, only survival. On the bridge of the Resolute, alarms blared. "Shields at 40%! Hull plates buckled, sparks showered the crew. Still, Cole stood tall. "Admiral," Harlow shouted, "their fleet is pushing us back. If they breach the shield line..." Cole raised a hand, his eyes burned with fire. "Then we break them here. Prepare the final weapon." The crew stiffened. The final weapon was more than a gun. It was a gamble, a creation, born of desperation. Something even humanity feared to unleash. A warship engine fused with experimental cores, capable of releasing energy enough to tear a fleet apart, at the cost of the ship itself. Cole turned to his crew, his voice lowered. "If this is our last day, then let it be a day the galaxy never forgets. A day they learned that Earth does not fall quietly." For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then, one by one, the crew answered, "With you, Admiral." "To the end. For Earth." The Resolute surged forward. Its veins glowed brighter than ever, pulsing like molten fire. Alien fleets turned their weapons upon it, desperate to stop the charge. Plasma storms hammered the hull. Missiles detonated against its shields. The ship shook violently, but still it pushed on, closer, closer, into the heart of the enemy armada. Cole's voice thundered. "Now!" The final weapon unleashed. A storm of light erupted, brighter than any star. Energy, ripped outward in a wave that tore through alien warships like paper. Cruisers vanished. Battleships cracked in half. Carriers exploded in blossoms of fire. The galaxy's armada was undone in seconds, but the cost was heavy. The Resolute burned, its veins shattered, its hull split open. Systems died one by one. Fires roared across the decks. On the bridge, smoke filled the air. Alarms screamed. Crew members coughed, bloodied but unbroken. Cole gripped the railing, his voice hoarse but steady. "Status." Harlow, his face streaked with soot, smiled faintly. "Enemy fleet. Broken. Earth stands." Cheers erupted, even through tears. Outside, the surviving alien ships fled, scattering into the void. The united fleet was no more. Fear had consumed them. They had seen what humanity could do, what humanity would sacrifice. The galaxy trembled. Days later, the council gathered again. No shouting, no arrogance, only silence. They had seen Earth survive against the full might of the galaxy. They had seen one human ship destroy hundreds. And they had heard the words of Admiral Cole. The archivist of Rill spoke softly, yet every counselor leaned in to hear. "The age of underestimating humanity is over. From this day, every star will remember their name. Not as prey, not as children, but as a force that even empires must bow to." Back on Earth, the sky cleared. Survivors mourned their dead, but they did so with pride. Humanity had not been conquered. Humanity had risen. Admiral Cole stood at the viewport of the Resolute's wrecked bridge, watching the sunrise over his homeworld. His ship was broken, his body weary but his spirit unshaken. Commander Harlow approached quietly. "Admiral, what now?" Cole's lips curved into a faint, tired smile. "Now," he said softly, "now we rebuild. And when the galaxy looks at us, they'll remember the day they thought they could break Earth and failed." The sun's light spilled. Across the horizon, bright and endless. Humanity had survived. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same.